Our next guest served 37 years in the Army as a military intelligence voice intercept operator. She is a registered nurse with 2 master's and 2 bachelor's degrees. She retired from the Army as a Chief Warrant Officer 5 and is president of the Women in Military Service for America Memorial Foundation, the only major national memorial honoring the 3 million women who have served since the Revolution. A Legionnaire. She was a Power Player of the Week on Fox News Sunday in 2020. Please welcome the president of the Military Women's Memorial, Phyllis J. Wilson.
Wow, thank you all. I feel like I got my Sunday sermon out of the way already, so we'll be a little calmer. I am a tea drinker, not a coffee drinker. But thank you all, and thank you certainly to the National Commander for giving me a chance to talk to you. Actually, we're going to start with a short video. We were talking about that Power Player of the Week. Those of you that don't know about the Military Women's Memorial, we're going to show a short video now, 3 minutes, that hopefully will show you a little bit about my time in the military and why I ended up being the president of the Military Women's Memorial. Please play the video.
Picture a veteran in your mind. This person was a Marine or an Air Force pilot or a naval intelligence analyst. Did you picture a man? Our Power Player of the Week wants you to think again.
I've always wanted to just be a soldier and not a woman soldier. Many times we find when you go to other museums, we're almost a footnote in the storyline.
Phyllis Wilson is trying to change that at the Women in Military Service for America Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. Opened in 1997, the museum is built into Arlington's iconic ceremonial gate. I have driven past this space countless times and never knew this existed. I take it that's not unusual.
It's not unusual at all, sadly.
While 3 million people come to Arlington each year, the museum is lucky to get 100,000 visitors. What they see is the history of women in the military, their uniforms and medals, and their changing role from working as nurses to Air Force service pilots in World War II, to serving in combat today.
There are about 2 million women that have served in the military, but there are a total of 3 million women that have actually defended the nation.
Wilson served 37 years in the Army, rising to the rank of Chief Warrant Officer 5. She worked in an intel unit for special operations in Iraq. Over the years, she says, women's opportunities have expanded dramatically.
Trying to go to jump school was a hard thing for me to get a crack at.
I got you!
And now we have Rangers, we have women that are leading infantry units. This is unheard of until just the last 5 years.
Despite the progress, Wilson says women service members and veterans often don't share their stories.
When we ask them, they say, well, I was just a supply sergeant. I was just a clerk. I was just a cook. Well, there's no just to it. If you raised your right hand and said, I'm willing to defend this nation with my life, then you're a veteran when you're done.
And they don't get the same respect, something Wilson has experienced firsthand.
I had parked in a veteran parking spot, and as I got out of the car, there was a gentleman that quickly called me on that and said, is your husband with you? Had it been a man, whether he had served in the military or not, in a veteran parking spot, when he got out of his car, I don't think he would have been challenged.
Wilson took us to the memorial's roof terrace, where glass tablets carry quotes about women's service.
Let the generations know that the women in uniform also guaranteed their freedom.
And visitors get a view of this hallowed ground.
There are 400,000 people that are buried here, and many of those are women. We are here at the memorial to tell the story not only of all of those that have passed before us, but those that are still here to carry the torch forward.
Women make up some 17% of the military today, and the memorial hopes to add the story of every servicewoman, past and present, to its register. You can share your story or that of a loved one at womensmemorial.org.
Thank you. So how do you share your story? It's now digital because we're online. And we'll start showing some story cards of women. I went into our database. These stories you see on the screen, every one of them have a Legion connection. All I did was type a search for American Legion, and these stories came up. These incredible women broke down barriers even in the Legion. From World War I women that tried to join and were rebuffed, told to join the auxiliary. I'm not going to read any of these. Every 30 seconds, you're going to get a new story, and there's 20 of these incredible women's stories. But I have hundreds, if not thousands, of women that I've identified in their memorable experience of their time in the military, their connection to the American Legion. You'll see these incredible stories. This is one much more contemporary, and you'll see them all the way back to the woman that founded Post Number 2 in Washington, D.C. Come on, Washington, where are you? Boy. Exactly. Post 2 was created by a woman that was rebuffed after World War I because she could not join a Legion post of her own. To these stories were women after World War II, 8 campaign stars and a Bronze Star for their service in World War II, and they came back to join the Legion, and they were told no. They didn't give up. If you've got 8 campaign stars in a war, you're not going to let the Legion say at that point in time. Society was different. It is not like that now. I'm proud to be a member of the Legion, as are so many other women, and these stories are emblematic of it. We have changed as a nation. In 1948, women were finally given by presidential edict. The bill was passed in the House and the Senate, and the president signed it, Harry Truman, the Women's Armed Service Integration Act of 1948, finally gave us an opportunity to serve more than wartime. Before that, it was only then, unless you were in the Nurse Corps. And also, what that gave us, while we were capped at 2% of the military, we were capped by rank. You could not exceed 05, commander or lieutenant colonel. And every woman from 1948 until the 70s, if you became pregnant, you were discharged, no questions asked. But as they moved to the all-volunteer force of the early 1970s, they realized the sentiment in this nation was such that they would not get enough young men willing and able to serve. That would be 98% of the military. They took the 2% limitation off, and now we are getting closer and closer to 20% of the military being women. And I believe that with technology and the advances that we have, you will see more and more women in those services, all of them. We have so many of these powerful stories in our database, and my challenge to all of you that know a woman that is in the Legion, ask them, is your story in the Military Women's Memorial, the national repository, where we have 316,000 stories like these? And if your story is already there, did you mention the American Legion? If not, this is a dynamic, living, breathing story card. Go into your account or let us know at the Women's Memorial that you want it updated, that you've been in a leadership role in the American Legion, that you're just a proud member of the Legion. Let us add that. We want to be able to provide this feedback to the national leadership of how many American Legion women are registered at the National Military Women's Memorial. This is a research database, and that's why the tools are so robust on our ability to find how many women by each branch of service, by era, by MOS, and certainly by state and territory. Our Legionnaires are women that are supporting and dealing with the United States military and the American Legion. We have so many of these stories, and I can't begin to tell you how proud I am to be able to stand here and share with you that while I live in Maryland, I'm giving you guys the opportunity. Come on, I spoke to you earlier. And am a a Post member in Washington, D.C. Where is the Military Women's Memorial? It's in Virginia. See, they were awake. But actually, the memorial is in every state and territory. We have a Strive for 500 campaign going that we need your help. We are asking every state and territory in the country to help us bring 500 of your women's stories, new stories, into this database every year. 500. And I can tell you, no matter how small the state and territory is, you can do this. It's completely achievable. And for the bigger states that have 50, 60, 70, over 100,000 women veterans in your ranks, in your state, less than 10% in any state are registered. So if you have 100,000 women veterans in your state, likely 10,000 are registered. That means you have 90,000, and I'm asking for a mere 500 next year. And do your best this year. The state directors of Veterans Affairs have been challenged on this, and we have 5 states that have already succeeded the 500. I'm really impressed, and they're not the states you would think. Our #1 state with the most registrations year to date in this year is South Carolina. Small but mighty. And we've been working hard with Arkansas. I hear you, Colonel Todd. We have been down there, and I tell you, one of the amazing women I had the opportunity to meet, and I didn't even know she was a veteran, was one of the Little Rock Nine, Elizabeth Eckford. At 15 years of age in 1957, she was one of the 9 black high school students that had to be escorted into Little Rock Central High. That was in 1957. In 1967, she joined the United States Army. Oh, we're gonna do that next? I'll try not to run through all of the services, but these stories that you see here, I mean, here you've got an Illinois National Guard woman that died, and her Legion is the post is the one that made sure she was registered into our national database. So please, and now you see we've got our past national commander who needs more memorable experiences, obviously, but her story is in there. So we go from World War I with a woman that created her own American Legion post because she was not welcome at any of those at the end of World War I, to a national commander. Times have changed. The military has changed, the nation has changed, the Legion has changed. And I would say all for the good. What we are now looking for is how do we amplify and tell the stories of incredible women of the Legion at the National Military Women's Memorial. A Strive for 500 is incredibly important. But I will also tell you, we are not federally funded. The American Legion has been one of our most ardent supporters, and the auxiliary. Now, what we do need is help to renovate. The memorial is 27 years old, the roof is leaking, and we want to install all new technology, lots of STEM stories, where we can really invigorate and excite America's youth, boys and girls, young men and women, to see what the opportunities are to serve in or with the military. We have a massive national industrial base that we need to make sure we have strong and powerful young men and women stepping up to build and create the things that we need to use serving in the military. So whether they serve or not, this is Dorothy Fahey, the photo you see. There was an American Legion post named after her in Northern Virginia. Sorry, but that's where the post is. And this woman worked on the cryptology machines, the Enigmas, back, and where did she serve? In New Guinea. Her story is incredible. Dorothy Fahey. Any of you, men or women, can create an account online at the Military Women's Memorial, and within your account, you can type, "Find a Servicewoman." put in Dorothy Fahey's name and read her memorable experience. It's kind of incredible. I didn't think about it, but at the end of World War II, every ship, whether it was a passenger or military vessel, at the end of the Pacific War, was pressed into service to get all of our men and women back to the States. So it was actually a cruise ship that she came back on, which sounds very luxurious, but it wasn't. They actually drained the swimming pool on the ship, and the women slept in the now dry bottom of a swimming pool on their way back to the United States. It's incredible stories like this, what these women did, and if you don't know what New Guinea was like in World War II, learn more about that as well. Our men and women of years past have laid the pathway for where we want to be today and into the future. And the Military Women's Memorial is just one of those places that tells these incredible stories. But this is just 20 of the hundreds, if not thousands, of American Legion women that we have in our database. Please, if you are a woman here and your story is not in the Military Women's Memorial, or it doesn't say that you're a member of the American Legion, please add it, update it. It's all digital. Like Chris Wallace said, womensmemorial.org, and create an account in the top right. And also look at all of the incredible stories that we have on our website, as well as educational materials to help make sure young Americans know what we have done as a collective. But because I am the president of the Military Women's Memorial, I have to also let you know that it's never lost on me. I have 4 sons that are also combat veterans, 3 that are Army. You think you raise them right, and 1 that is Air Force. Wow. But for every branch of service, just earlier this month, we unveiled a new exhibit called Sea Change, talking about the United States Navy. And this year is the 30th anniversary of women being allowed to serve on combatant ships. It only became that's a big deal, absolutely. 1994, precious few women. Can you imagine the hazing and the comments that they received stepping aboard combatant ships for the first time and going out to sea? In that time frame, just before that, Lisa Franchetti joined the Navy, and now, today, as a surface warfare officer, she is the first woman to be the chief of naval operations. This woman you see on her photo, that is your World War I woman that refused to take no for an answer and created her own American Legion post number 2, my post. So I may actually be able to cede back a moment or two. I think this might be the very last one. And we do have a 1-minute video that sort of shows you what we do and what the future of the Military Women's Memorial looks like. I will challenge every post to think about, many of you have sent funds. If you can include the Military Women's Memorial in a giving program of $20 or $25 this year, I know how many posts there are out there. It would make a huge difference in how we operate. We are on a shoestring budget. We are open as a national memorial 7 days a week, free and by law, free to the public. And we're very proud to do that. But we need your help to continue to operate and make sure this place, the Women's Memorial, is worthy of the women. 1-minute video, and thank you so much.
From America's beginning, women have answered the call to serve. Our stories of triumph and sacrifice are vital to our country's history. We serve in every branch of the military, at every level, as warriors, innovators, and leaders. The Military Women's Memorial is the only national memorial dedicated to the lives of American servicewomen. For more than 20 years, our world-class education center has brought the nation together to honor their courage, determination, and love of country. The Military Women's Memorial will bring these stories to life for a new generation. Help us honor her service.